Imagine beating the world's most dangerous roads only to find that the real fight is inside you. These are the sad stories of Lisa Kelly from Ice Road Truckers. Millions of people loved Lisa because she was a brave driver who never gave up. But the stress of being famous, having busy schedules, and constant media coverage took a toll that few people ever saw. We learn about Lisa Kelly's rise to fame, the tragedy that made her leave the public eye, and the problems she faced behind the scenes in this movie. The start that will live on. When Ice Road Truckers first came out on TV in June 2007, it was a big hit right away. Unlike most reality shows at the time, it put viewers in a very real setting, the remote highways of frozen Canada and Alaska, where truckers risked everything to carry goods across some of the world's most dangerous terrain. The idea behind it was easy, but the risks were very high. These roads were not built. They were often temporary ice roads that were made over frozen lakes and rivers. Heavy trucks could crack or fall through them. The first 2 seasons of the show were mostly about Canada's Northwest Territories, with roads like the Tibet to Contouta Winter Road. It was not only hard, but also dangerous to haul loads across these icy areas. It was -40°F, the snow drifts were moving, and drivers were always afraid they would break through the ice. Every run was a test of nerve and skill, with everything from mechanical problems to avalanches. It was high-stakes, high-stress TV that people couldn't get enough of. It was clear that Ice Road Truckers had become a big hit by the time it went to Alaska's Dalton Highway in later seasons. The icy hills, steep grades, and being alone made it even more difficult. Truckers had to deal with more than just bad weather. They were facing 400-mile hauls, and one mistake could kill them. It wasn't just the danger that made the show stand out. It was the story of people behind every delivery. A new person joined the show in Season 3. Lisa Kelly. At first glance, she didn't look like a normal ice road trucker. But that's what made her story so interesting. Lisa had to prove herself as the first well-known female driver on the show. She had to do it not only to her peers but also to viewers who had only seen men rule the show up until that point. She went into the job with focus and determination from the start. She didn't play up the fact that she was the loser, instead, she let her skills speak for themselves. She was cool under pressure, knew a lot about mechanics, and seemed very sure of herself. She never gave up, even when she had to chain tires in blizzards or move a 60,000-pound load over icy slopes. Her honesty and strength made her fans feel linked to her. She became a fan favorite in just a few shows. Not because she was unique, but because she was tough and strong like everyone else on the road. Lisa Kelly's arrival did more than just make the group more interesting. It made the show more unique. Ice Road Truckers wasn't just about the wildest parts of nature after that. On and off the ice, it was also about surprising people. This is the Alaskan Foundation. Lisa Kelly's story began long before the cameras came out and the long trips over ice. Thousands of miles away from any TV attention. Her family moved to Sterling, Alaska, when she was only 6 years old. She was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Moving wasn't a fun experience. The rough, empty land was very different from the city life she was used to. Her family moved to a small farm in the middle of nowhere, far from any modern services. It was there that she learned early on that comfort wasn't always a given. Alaska didn't offer easy ways out, it required toughness. Lisa didn't always want to be a truck driver. In fact, her road to the driver's seat wasn't planned at all. As a young adult, she had a number of different jobs that didn't give her any hints about what was to come. She had a job at a gas station. She did bike races. But the event that made everything different wasn't at all exciting. As she drove school buses and delivered pizzas around town, she found something she didn't expect. She really liked being in charge of the car. It wasn't about how fast or strong it was. It gave her a sense of freedom, power, and purpose to be in charge of something bigger than herself. Most people would have thought nothing of that spark. Lisa didn't. To get her commercial driver's license, she used her job as a bus driver. This license let her into a world run by men and rough terrain. It wasn't about getting a rush. She longed for a real job that she could do well. Carroll Transportation, a well-known and respected freight company in Alaska, gave him his first break. They are known for handling tough logistics in tough circumstances. It wasn't a job for free. Lisa knew that she had to work for her place just like everyone else. She didn't come in hoping for cheers. In fact, she went in expecting to be played down. That didn't bother her, though. She was ready to work hard to prove herself, which was the only way that counted. In her first few years at Carroll, she learned how to be persistent very quickly. Often, she was the only woman in the yard. She loaded up like everyone else and quietly took it all in. There were no shortcuts or exceptions. She didn't ask for any. Long hours, cold starts, and harsh weather didn't stop them. They introduced her to the world. Lisa Kelly didn't just start moving trucks. She got into it without anyone noticing. There was no fuss or news about it. It was just a strong drive that began on the edge of Alaska and led her to places she never thought possible. Fame and tiredness. Lisa Kelly did more than just join the group of ice road truckers, she changed it. On the Dalton Highway, where most of the people were tough soldiers, her calm strength made her stand out. She was young, quiet, and nice, but when she was behind the wheel, she was serious. That difference gave the show new life. She didn't try to get attention, it came to her. People liked her not because she was shown to be special, but because she was handled like she was part of the team. There are no tricks or shortcuts, just a skilled driver doing a tough job. Because of her huge success, producers asked her to be on Deadliest Roads, a high-stakes spin-off show that put experienced drivers on some of the world's most dangerous roads. Lisa was one of the few original cast members picked to be in the Himalayan-filmed first season. The show was a whole other animal. India has narrow tracks next to hills that could send a truck flying hundreds of feet if they are not careful. She held her own with her tough co-stars and quickly became a sign of determination. After that, she went to South America for another hard season. It was once again a place where the road was often more dangerous than the weather. Reality TV fans were no longer the only ones who knew who she was. Lisa became well known to most people by 2010. She was asked to appear on The Late Show with David Letterman, where she talked about her time on the road in a way that was both humble and witty. Around the same time, Esquire magazine called her the sexiest trucker living and put her in a photo spread. It was an odd turn. On the one hand, she was being taken seriously as a worker in a field that was mostly men. In another way, she was being shaped for star culture. The change was hard for someone who just wanted to drive cars. Behind the scenes, things were always moving quickly. The filming plans were tight. There were always production teams around. And the free time that used to come with being a truck driver was swapped out for media events, interviews, and constant travel. Lisa later said that the amount of work she had to do was getting to her. She was tired from filming back-to-back seasons of Ice Road Truckers and Deadliest Roads and from having to do marketing work all the time. She took a break by the time season 6 of the main show started. Not as a showy way to leave, but because she was tired. She had to take a deep breath and stand back. Lisa Kelly never set out to become famous. It happened naturally because she did her job so well. But as the cameras kept rolling and the attention grew, it became clear how hard it was to be both a truck driver and a TV star. The quiet exit. Fans were shocked when season 6 of Ice Road Truckers ran without Lisa Kelly. As of that point, she was one of the most well-known and respected faces on the show. She had earned her spot behind the wheel and won the respect of fans all over the country. Her sudden disappearance led to a lot of questions right away. Had they had a fight with the directors, like a contract dispute? Could this be a quiet end to a show that helped her become famous? There were a lot of rumors on online boards, but the truth was much more personal and showed how hard it is to be a star on unscripted TV. In the end, Producer Tom Beers shut down the rumors by making it clear that Kelly had been asked to come back for season 6. She just picked not to come back. We gave her a deal to come back, but she turned it down. As a professional and polite way to make things clear, he said, "That's it. We invited her back. Love to have her. She's taking a year off." This suggested more than just a scheduling issue. Lisa had been working harder behind the scenes than most people saw. Fans saw that she was cool and collected on screen, but they didn't see how hard it was for her to keep up that mask while juggling 2 big shows. It has a spin-off called Deadliest Roads, which is an IRT show. The schedules for the 2 productions clashed, there was foreign travel, and the logistics were tough. She wasn't just driving cars in bad weather. She had to film for long hours, do retakes, do interviews, and go to press events, but she still had to deliver real loads on real roads. Lisa stated that she was too tired to talk about her time with the franchise in a rare interview. She said, "I just wanted to do my job, go home, and be normal." Being the only female lead in a high-stakes male-dominated workplace, getting attention all the time, and having to work within tight schedules had worn her down. For someone who never liked being the center of attention, reality TV had become too much. It wasn't a big deal that she wasn't on season 6. It was a limit, and it quietly showed a sad truth that is often missed in the genre: real people, even on reality shows, have limits. The picture of the fearless trucker driving through the Arctic was real, but it didn't come for free. Lisa Kelly's death wasn't just about her leaving the show. It was about the things she gave up in order to get back to balance. She was loved by her fans because she worked hard, loved trucking, and was honest, but these qualities also made her vulnerable to the tough pressures of the business. Lisa Kelly made it clear that she was more than just a TV figure by taking a step back. She was someone who found peace in a world that doesn't always let it happen. She also brought up an important question for both the business and the fans. How do you really stay alive in the spotlight? And will it be worth it when the cameras stop rolling? Lisa Kelly's return to Ice Road Truckers in season 7 was the last ride she would take before leaving for good. It was a big moment for both the show and the fans who had been following her journey from the start. Her return had a sense of mission. She jumped back into the cab with the same quiet purpose that had made her stand out in the beginning. It was just Lisa, ready to take on the rough Alaskan roads again. There was no big show or drama. It was the start of a long last run when she came back. From season 7 to the last season of the show in 2017, she was one of the most constant and interesting characters. Lisa was in more than 80 episodes of Ice Road Truckers, which is more than half of all the shows that were made. In each season, she had to deal with hulls that were harder than the last, uncertain terrain, and harsh climates. She kept showing that she wasn't just keeping up, she was leading the way. From the later seasons on, Lisa's influence became like a rock for the show. She had won the respect of her fellow truckers and the love of a growing group of fans. But it wasn't just her continued success on the road that made this time so important. It was that she stayed in the game after the cameras stopped rolling. Many of the group members of Ice Road Truckers stopped being seen after the show's 11th season. Lisa didn't. She instead found new ways to stay close to her roots. She stayed involved in the trucking industry and kept driving for a living. She gave her voice and likeness to projects like the 2023 PC game Alaskan Road Truckers, which showed her dedication to the way of life that had become such a big part of her public image. She kept in touch with her fans through social media and YouTube videos where she showed bits of her life away from the ice without making it a show. Lisa's last seasons on Ice Road Truckers showed a person who had grown not only in skill but also in confidence and ability to lead. She was no longer just the most famous person from season 3. She had become a sign of the show that people would always remember. While the show was over, it was clear that her story didn't end with the last episode. The way she left the road was her own choice. She was still going forward and in charge. Post-show toughness. At the end of the last season of Ice Road Truckers, many people thought Lisa Kelly might step away from the press for good. She didn't try to become famous, though. She chose a different path. Working with Chevron's DLO brand on a digital series called Destination was one of her most famous projects after she left Chevron. Besides that, Lisa Kelly. The 16-part ad wasn't just a way to show off heavy machinery. It was a deep look into how Lisa works every day. The show showed her life on and off the road in its most honest form, whether she was driving an excavator, talking about engine repair, or hauling cargo through the back country of Alaska. It was more than just identity that they worked together on. It was her way of telling a story. The shows showed how good she was at fixing things, how independent she was, and how hard her daily life was in a rural area. Lisa wasn't just advertising a product in each episode. She was reaffirming who she is as someone who lives and loves this way of life. Lisa went back to something very personal, horses, long after the cameras stopped rolling and she was no longer in the trucking world. She loved animals a long time before she got a job on TV. She made room for that part of her life again after the show finished. She started taking care of several horses on her Alaskan property, training them and helping rescue horses get better while having a calmer, more grounded routine. In interviews, she said that this change isn't a step away from the business, but rather a needed balance after years of high-stakes, fast driving that was always watched by the public. She did stay out of the public eye, though. Lisa agreed to go to trucking trade and exposure shows all over the world, even in the UK and Ireland, where she was greeted by big crowds. Fans in other countries saw her as more than just a TV star, they saw someone who was tough, professional, and humble. These appearances helped her stay connected to the community without having to worry about a long-term production plan. In her job, Lisa never gave up the wheel. She now drives a Freightliner Coronado 122 SD, a truck that was made to be strong and last a long time, just like her job. She still works with heavy loads and rough terrain, which shows that she didn't get her name in an editing room. It came from all the work she did and the miles she drove. Lisa Kelly hasn't tried to change herself, even though she's no longer on reality TV. Instead, she stuck to the things that made people admire her in the first place. Strength, consistency, and a quiet unwillingness to give up. And for those who followed her journey, that unyielding drive is what she left behind. Truths about the business and struggles that aren't always obvious. Lisa Kelly's trip on Ice Road Truckers wasn't just about getting through dangerously icy terrain, it was also about facing and getting through the problems and tragedies in the trucking industry and on reality TV. Her experiences shed light on the problems women face in male-dominated fields and the difficulties of making reality TV shows. According to an honest interview, Kelly said that she did not get paid to be on the first few seasons of Ice Road Truckers. Even though the show was famous and her job was dangerous, she was told that she was chosen mostly because of how she looked and was called eye candy. This objectification was a big sign of how biased the industry is against women. Kelly was determined to show how valuable she was beyond quick opinions, so she made a promise to show off her skills and professionalism on the road. Kelly was a pioneer because she was one of the few female truckers to be on the show. There were, however, some problems that came with being seen. People didn't believe her at first, and she had to work harder to earn their respect. Kelly talked about times when she was looked at more closely than her male co-workers, as if any mistake could reinforce bad ideas about women who work in trucking. She stayed strong in the face of these problems by focusing on her performance and having her work speak for itself. Reality TV added another level of difficulty to her experience. The show made her famous and gave her a way to inspire other people, but it also meant that she was always being watched and didn't have any privacy. The needs of the production often got in the way of her work, so she had to find a balance between doing her job honestly and meeting the needs of the show. In addition, the way she was portrayed was sometimes affected by the stories that directors told, which weren't always true. Kelly was upset that her skills and commitment weren't being shown in a way that fully captured them. The problems Kelly faced didn't stop her from being strong and dedicated to her job. She broke down walls and fought against stereotypes, becoming an inspiration to many. Her story shows how important it is to keep going even when things get hard and how systemic changes are needed to make sure that all workers, regardless of gender, are treated fairly and with respect. Left behind on thin ice. Lisa Kelly hadn't ruled out a return to Ice Road Truckers by 2021, years after the show had stopped airing once a week. She honestly said in an interview that she would be open to playing the same part again if the show ever got a new season. Even though nothing had been officially said, Kelly made it known that some of the main cast and fans also wanted it. Then the pandemic happened. It was impossible to have serious conversations during the pandemic. This put ideas on hold and made it harder for reality TV teams to film in dangerous, remote places like the icy highways of Finland. Northern. Even though the show stopped, her influence lived on. Fans of Kelly's shows who remember her early days and people who are interested in her journey from newbie to seasoned road warrior continue to watch her episodes. The show has had a kind of second life thanks to online services that make it easy to watch. Lisa's story can be read by anyone online, and her trademark grit and focus are still clear. A series was made on those platforms, and a cultural moment in trucking history was saved. It was about someone who didn't want to be a symbol, but became one anyway. Off-screen, Lisa's story is still interesting. She's still involved in the trucking business, even when the cameras aren't rolling. She lends her voice and appearance to some trade shows and keeps her skills sharp on the road. She hasn't used her fame to sell drama or get people's attention. She has stayed grounded instead, letting her image be built on hard work rather than news stories. Her long-lasting fame comes from something more than that. Fans like her because she didn't force herself to do things like drive trucks over frozen rivers. She didn't pose for the cameras or try to become famous. A unique kind of legacy was made, one that didn't need a big finale or dramatic send-off to last. It was made up of quiet authenticity and obvious skill. Lisa Kelly's story shows something that doesn't happen very often on reality TV. A story that never felt like it was made up, with quiet endings, big comebacks, and even times when I lost hope. As long as people keep watching her episodes, her story will always come back to the road, and people in the business are secretly wondering if the show could come back. While the ice roads are frozen over, her name will always be remembered as the person who made them possible. What does Lisa Kelly's story teach us about being strong, not just in driving but in life in general? If Ice Road Truckers ever came back, would her memory live on or grow into something even bigger? If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to the video and tell us what you think in the comments. We'll see you soon.